How do we deal with toxic people? How do we keep people from drawing us into their own personal hell? Let's think about this week in light of this Sunday's reading. So when I was growing up, a film that I really enjoyed, it had such beautiful cinematography, incredible footage, incredible ideas too, was What Dreams May Come, starring Robin Williams. Now, in the film, I'll just say this, from a Christian perspective, part of it's wrong, right? So we believe as Christians that hell is permanent. So there's no sense that, because if you remember the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, it is a fun movie to watch. He goes into hell and he saves his wife from hell, and she had committed suicide. Now, of course, that's a little bit incorrect. When we go to hell, it's permanent. But what I loved about it, if you watch the movie, is how they paint this portrait of hell. And while Robin Williams is descending into hell, time and time again, he encounters people who mistake him for somebody else, who don't recognize his identity. There's this sense that the people in hell are closed in their little own prisons of being self-absorbed. And interestingly enough, the people in hell desire relationship, but their relationships are constantly thwarted. Even when Robin Williams, the character, I forget the character's name, when he finally reaches his wife doesn't recognize him, because there's this sense that hell is being enclosed in our own prison. Very neat psychological portrait of hell. And I think that can kind of help us understand the gravity of this Sunday's reading. So what's the story in today's reading? It's this sense that Jesus has healed a man born blind. He has done an incredibly good thing. And Jesus, in a lot of ways, just imagine it. It's not just that Jesus does good things, but Jesus is holy. He's happy, he's gentle, he's loving. And in the face of such overwhelming beauty and holiness, the Pharisees and the scribes rebel against it. It's like they're stuck in their own prison of hell. They can't accept this incredible gift that has come to them in the form of the Son of God. They're closed off. They long for the Messiah. They long for relationships, whatever it might be, but they're thwarted by their own ego. They're not able to recognize that God is with them, that God is in their midst, even despite, and this is the warning for all of us, even despite the fact that they're incredibly religious, they're incredibly devout, but their devotion, or at least a false devotion, hasn't led them to that intimacy with God that has prepared their heart to receive the Word incarnate, the truth from all eternity that has come in their midst. So this is a fascinating dynamic. I know a lot of times when we're Christians, when we're doing good things, we're going to meet resistance. We're going to meet people who are incredibly negative. In a lot of ways, might be tempted at times to think, why is this person so negative? How do I empathize with this person? And just keep in mind that vision of hell, that there are some people who are so closed off to relationships. Like the people in hell in that movie I was talking about, they desire relationships. They'll grasp for them. They'll say that they want friendships. They want love. They may not say it explicitly, but by their actions, they'll indicate that desire for love. But yet everything they do sabotages their efforts. So what I want us to do in this week's spiritual exercise, now of course, we're called to love those people, but I would say we're called to also have a little bit of distance from those kind of negative, toxic people. We have to recognize them in our lives, and we have to make sure that we guard ourselves a little bit, that we don't allow them to suck us into their own personal hell. So what I want us to kind of do, taking this week's reading as our spiritual exercise, is try to imagine those negative people in your life, those people who are toxic, who are trying to pull you down, and try to imagine some ways to work against it. To be like Jesus, to be gentle and loving, even in the midst of negativity, and brainstorm it so that you can work against it. That's what we do. We prepare ourselves through prayer and meditation. We prepare ourselves to face confrontations. So consider doing that in this week's spiritual exercise. Amen.